conversations. This is what the community is saying. What do you think? What do you think should be done about it? It's not for MANA to start becoming a healthy marriage organization. And we don't want people to think like, oh, MANA is a youth organization now. MANA is a healthy marriage organization. MANA is a young adult organization. Maybe next time we do the survey, people say, oh, MANA is trying to be a financial literacy organization, or MANA is going to be a Dawa organization. No, MANA is just consistently trying to find out what the community thinks are the primary needs for the community, and then we try to organize around that. We try to bring collaboration around that, and we try to, for ourselves, set a 2-year timeline to say what can MANA help do in this area within 2 years, and then those people will continue the work.
Bismillah, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Daraja. This is Omar, bringing you the Stairway to Your Higher Self podcast. Daraja is an Arabic word that means levels, stages, steps, or degrees. In each episode, we'll bring you stories of Muslim leaders from around the world who have overcome significant challenges through discipline, positivity, and faith. Our goal is that you'll be inspired through their stories to reach your higher self. Welcome to Daraja. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Normally on Daraja we have one guest. Today we have two guests, Dr. Salaam and Akanke Rasheed. So by way of introduction, Dr. Salaam has strong roots in the American Muslim community. He started attending National Muslim Youth Camps at the age of 12 and continued as a participant, counselor, and speaker for more than 30 years. Dr. Salaam entered the U.S. Air Force in 1995 and served as a police officer for 4 years. He was also a key contributor in establishing Friday prayer services on bases for Muslim military members and went on to serve as an imam in Goldsboro, North Carolina for several years. After the military, Dr. Salaam immersed himself in community activism. He managed the Civil Rights Department for the Council on American Islamic Relations from 2000 to 2004 and helped oversee a Baltimore Muslim community and neighborhood development project from 2004 to 2007. Before starting at Duke in 2018, Dr. Salaam worked with youth and families for 11 years at one of the largest Muslim communities in North America. His diverse background gives him a unique perspective on many issues and helps him connect with students. He holds a master's degree in religious studies with a focus on Christian-Muslim relations from Hartford Seminary, and he's also a doctor. He also is a former member of Native Deen. We all know him and we all love him with his
Former, did they kick me out? I didn't get that memo.
He's also a current member of Native Deen. So let's get it straight. Sister Akanke is an Atlanta native, raised in a non-religious family, embraced Islam in her late 20s after an unexpected introduction to the faith. While training as a television producer, she worked on a live show featuring Muslim guests and was drawn to the insightful discussions about Islam. Encouraged by her colleagues, she attended Friday prayers and read the Quran from beginning to the end, ultimately finding deep inspiration that solidified her decision to convert or to revert to Islam. This transformative experience sparked a lifelong passion for spirituality and personal growth rooted in her faith. As a multi-talented individual, Akanke holds a communication degree from Georgia State University with focus on film, television, and anthropology. Her career spans roles as a television and radio producer, a certified and nutrition coach, voiceover artist, and abstract painter. During a decades-long stay in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, she honed her public speaking and leadership skills, mentoring women through 2 women-only Toastmaster clubs. So, fellow Toastmaster, yay. Above all, she emphasizes spirituality as the foundation for self-actualization, advocating for a life centered on devotion to Allah and the belief that personal growth and lasting success flows from a strong, loving relationship with the Creator. So I want to welcome you both to Daraja.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to
Thank
be
you.
here.
It's really an honor to be here with you because I know, Dr. Salam, Joshua, you're on the road, and we're immensely grateful for the fact that you literally pulled over and we're having this conversation. But I want to start by asking you about MANA. Could you tell us what MANA is, what it stands for, why does it exist?
Yes, yes. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. I would begin by praising Allah. He asks us to praise Him often and sending peace and blessings on His Prophet and their family. MANA stands for the Muslim Alliance in North America. The reason why it exists, the best way that I can give this to you is, an analogy of an organization that I used to work with in the county of Fairfax County in Virginia, where they had so many wonderful projects submitting proposals to the county for funding. And there was somebody over in this neighborhood working with youth, but there was also somebody over in this neighborhood working with youth. And then there's another neighborhood. And so they would get like 15 proposals for doing good work, but they felt like these people don't know that just two neighborhoods over, there's another person, putting a similar proposal together. Is there somebody that can kind of coordinate all of this so that we get just kind of like one proposal or less proposals so that we can really make our money stretch for the county? MANA is trying to connect the community. There's a lot of good work going on in the African American Muslim community. There's a lot of unique challenges also with the African American Muslim community, and there hasn't been a sustained effort to make sure that we all know what we're doing, that we all know the resources that we have within our community and outside the community. Sometimes there's grants and other things available that other people just didn't know about. And sometimes there's challenges that are going on right in the neighborhood next door, and the city, one city over, they might have the resources needed for that change. So one of the hadith that I think really hones in the theology behind what man is doing, when it says that the ummah is like one body, and if one part of the body is aching, the whole body should have a fever. And the only way that that works is if you have a healthy nervous system. If your nervous system is intact, so that when you stub your toe, you actually feel it, or when you put your hand on the stove and you feel it's hot, there's an immediate reaction to remove it. So we need that type of nervous system in the Muslim community. Man is trying to serve as that, to just not be over all these organizations, but just to make sure that all these organizations know about one another, that they know about the work that they do, that they know about the resources that they have, and we can do for self.
MashaAllah. So this is something that's rooted in the prophetic tradition, pulling Muslims together and being more effective. As what I'm hearing is that Mana is kind of pulling people together, consolidating resources and being more effective. Is that a fair analysis?
It's fairly fair, but I'm very sensitive to how we say things,
Okay.
because there is Akanke and I talk about this a lot, that there's so much, even in Mana's experience. I think we've made some mistakes in the past. We're getting better at this as we go along. We pray for the community's grace and understanding and trying to see the vision and where we're going. But sometimes, you step on toes. Sometimes people feel like you're, oftentimes, and this isn't a fault on anyone, I think this is human nature, when you start to feel like resources are limited, territorial, fundraising, things like that. And so I'm very sensitive to make sure that people know, that we are definitely trying to connect people, and we want people to know about the resources and needs of our community. We try to bring them together, but they're the experts. They're the people who are actually doing the work. They're the ones who've been doing this work for 20 years, 30 years. People who've been working in financial management, people who've been working with youth, people who've been working with reverts or reentry programs, people who've been doing imam education, Islamic education. We are not the experts in all of that. So once they come together, they kind of figured out. Actually, before this conversation, we were talking about an organization that brings Muslims together, and they figure it out. So Manna kind of believes that as well. Like, if we bring the experts together and they know about each other, they will figure it out. They will decide if we need to consolidate resources or if we need to do something else. But the key is just making sure that we know about each other. As people from my generation say, knowing is half the battle.
Yeah. So, Sister Akanke, from your perspective, how have you seen Mana grow over the years in terms of its evolution?
Well, the good thing is that we have remained grounded in our mission to strengthen the African American Muslim community. And how we've grown over the years is that we've continuously connected with the community, especially recently, to really hear from the community to make sure we're moving the needle in areas that are important according to what the believers in the African American Muslim community deem are important. So, we, for example, right now, our work is driven by the results from a national survey that was done 3 years ago. So, how we've grown over the years is that we are forging stronger connections in ways that we can to the community so that we can serve the community in ways that they self assess is important. So our initiative right now, for example, is called It's Fam, and that's an acronym for the Initiative to Strengthen Families of African American Muslims. And it focuses on healthy marriages, young adult leadership, and youth engagement. All of these areas, when they are enhanced and thriving, strengthens our community. So I would just say over time, we've made sure that we connect more and more with the community to guide our work.
Before you go, I want to add something to what I said because in the back of my mind, I hear the voice of Dr. Issam Bagby, who's one of the founding members of MANA, and him and I have had a lot of really rich conversations about MANA and the work that we do. And they would always say, Joshua, bringing people together is not enough. We can't stop there. Just can't bring people together. There's another layer of being the fiber, the thread that maintains those connections. There always needs to be somebody in the community that when anybody's talking about something, you're doing a project, for instance, people that do projects on their home, if you say talking around somebody and they say, oh, I was thinking about painting the house. And then somebody goes, I got a guy. I know a guy does excellent work. It's that person that helps connect people and you have to stay engaged in the community, and you gotta really, because some people they might have a 5C3 today and tomorrow they're doing something else. Their health is good tomorrow, next week they're doing something else. And so who can be the organization that stays engaged, really maintains that network of individuals and institutions, so that when it's time to do something, we can be like, we know a brother that has a talk show, a wonderful talk show. We know this sister out of Atlanta that does this. Did you know there's an organization called ISLA in LA that's doing this that you could probably learn from? They've already have their bylaws and the things like that, and they've tripped, they've succeeded, they've been doing it for 30 years. Did you know about them? That has to be maintained, and you bring people together to collaborate, but then those people are busy. The people from that organization are busy. The people from this organization are busy. So somebody kind of has to stay. We haven't, when's the last time we met? When's the last time we talked? That project, that collaboration, how's it going? Just kind of to keep the effort going. And so sometimes, people don't see the wisdom in that. Sometimes people want to fund the people who are actually doing the soup kitchen and things like that. And so we have to really remind people about the value of this, the value of being efficient, as you mentioned that word, the value of staying connected, the value of making sure that those yellow pages are always updated so that when you need to call that guy, the number's accurate, that they're still in business or maybe it's passed on. So there's another layer to that I just wanted to make sure that people understood about MANA.
Absolutely. And Sister Akanke, I think you talked about there was a national survey that was conducted, and a lot of the work is rooted and based and influenced by that survey. Could you expound more on some of the key findings, and what were the most pressing challenges and desires that came out of that finding that kind of is really driving the work today?
Yeah, sure. Before I answer that, that's a good question, and we want to definitely share those details with the listening audience. I want to just say that what you're hearing in this conversation is that MANA is focused sort of like on two tracks. So one track is where we're building a network, as Joshua has passionately spoken about, where we're building this network that will be a source and a resource for our community to know who we are and what we have and what we can do for ourselves based on self sufficiency, self determination, and working together. We have ways to go, but we're so excited about the possibility of continuing to build the network because there's so much that we don't know about in our community, and we want to know about all of the things in all of the places around the US that are driven by the contributions of African American Muslims, the talents of African American Muslims, and the commitment and passion of the believers in African American Muslim communities. So that's one track, building this network, the MANA network. And the other part is bringing people from that network together to move the needle in areas that the community has said is important. So that leads back to the survey. The survey was called Assessing the State of the African American Muslim Community. And it was a collaborative project involving 5 organizations. So it was not just MANA, but we led the organization. Dr. Isan Bagby is the one who came up with the idea. And then we coordinated and partnered with conveners of imams of Imam W. Muhammad's community, the Muslim Journal, and the Muslim Wellness Foundation. And so that committee sent out a national survey. This was in 2020. I believe 2020. Let's see, this is 24. So maybe it was 2021. We sent out this survey to ask questions. The national survey asked questions about what's important in your community. It asked about family life. It asked the questions to pull from the participants what they felt were priorities in their lives and in the community, and what were the solutions that needed to be put in place for those things, and how do we prioritize them. So there was like a list of 18 things that came up on from the survey, and I can give you an example of some of them. So for example, according to the survey, people felt like there were divisions within our community. Number 2, absence of a national network. Number 3, financial concerns, lack of funds, lack of funding for proper programs. Number 4, youth and young adults, etc. So there were several categories of challenges, and then we asked them not just about the challenges, but how do we prioritize all of those challenges? What are the top priorities? So the top priorities were 10, and at the top, Islamic knowledge and Islamic education, finances of the individual, marriage and family, young and youth and young adults, establishment of a national network, more activities to attract Muslims to the finances for the masjid, spiritual growth and wellness, leadership and education. So I'm actually looking at we produced a report. So if people want to see the report, they can go to manajustice.org and scroll down on our homepage, and they'll see a link that says read the report. So they can read this whole report. It's about 18 pages long. So what we did is, based upon the challenges and the priorities, we had to look at the algorithm, and we came up with the 3 top priorities that were in both of those categories that kept coming up. And those were healthy marriages, having stronger families. Well, we'll just put it under the banner of building stronger families. And that's in 3 areas: healthy marriages, youth engagement, and young adult leadership. So that's what we're focusing on now with ITSFAM, the Initiative to Strengthen Families of African American Muslims. And we have 3 cohorts. These are people from the network, people who signed up for the MANA network that said that they're interested in healthy marriage, they're interested in young adult leadership, they're interested in youth engagement. And we pulled them together in 3 different cohorts, and we've given them the mission of creating a project together that will enhance those 3 areas. So each cohort has developed and identified a project that they're working on. And ITSFAM is a 2-year initiative, and we're right in the middle of the initiative. So we will be complete next October. 2005 will be the end of the 2 years. So we're right in the middle of giving life to our projects. I'm in the healthy marriage cohort. Joshua is in the young adult leadership cohort, and Dr. Isan, that we've mentioned several times in this conversation, is the facilitator of the youth engagement cohort. And also Imam Nadim Suleiman Ali is also in the healthy marriage cohort. So we're working with community members who are passionate about those 3 things to help bring to fruition projects that have been identified by each cohort to benefit the community in those areas. And I can give you an example. So we're doing healthy marriage town hall meetings once a month as part of our cohort for the healthy marriage cohort. And so that's just an example of what we're doing. And we're going to do a healthy marriage summit later on in 2005. We'll do a healthy marriage summit as well. Inshallah.
I want to check on a couple things and then add if we have time, brother Omar.
Go ahead, my brother.
So she said 2005. I know we're going back to the future. I
Oh, I'm
think she meant
sorry.
25.
2020.
I'm sorry.
And then
It's late.
I know. And then when you said the imam whose last name was Ali, is that Imam Nadim?
Yes, Imam Nadim Suleiman Ali.
May Allah,
Okay.
may Allah preserve him. Beautiful, brother.
And so I think what's important about when people go to the website and read this report, I want them to also go to a part of the page. I think it's under what we do.
Mm-hmm.
and it talks about the 5-step methodology for manna, because the first step is to we've moved away from just having passionate, educated people, whether they're academics and universities or PhDs, or whether they're long-term leaders of communities, imams. Everybody has some anecdotes of what's important, but the reality in Houston might be different than the reality in Albany, New York. There might be, your cases might be a little bit different. The amount of issues that you have in your community on a particular topic might be different. So we can't just go off of what this person is experiencing. So the survey, a data-driven approach is so important. So the first step has to be, what does the community think are the issues? Not what I think are the issues. What does the community think are the issues? And then, as we said, if the things that emerge are those 3 topics of, healthy marriages, let's just say healthy marriages, then man is like, hey, calling all Muslims who are working in this field. If you're a counselor, if you do healthy marriage, counseling, we need you to come and have this conversation about what it means to be. I'm sorry, I'm on the road and somebody pulled up, threw me off. But we're calling you to have these conversations. This is what the community is saying. What do you think? What do you think should be done about it? It's not for MANA to start becoming a healthy marriage organization. And we don't want people to think like, oh, MANA's a youth organization now. MANA's a healthy marriage organization. MANA's a young adult organization. Maybe next time we do the survey, people say, oh, MANA's trying to be a financial literacy organization, or MANA's going to be a dawah organization. No, MANA's just consistently trying to find out what the community thinks are the primary needs for the community, and then we try to organize around that. We try to bring collaboration around that, and we try to, for ourselves, set a 2-year timeline to say, what can MANA help do in this area within 2 years? And then those people will continue the work. And we hope that MANA would kind of stay engaged with them. But there's already organizations doing financial literacy, imam training, dawah, prison reentry. There's people doing that. So we want to shine the light on them and make sure that they get the resources that they need to do more, to do it better, to collaborate more. So those are very important aspects that I just wanted to add to what Akanke just went over.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. I'm looking at the website. Those 5 things that you talked about so eloquently. Again, the survey. You asked the community, what do you see as the problem? Then you promote the finding. You develop solutions, and you build a network to improve and to implement the solution. And then you assess and you adjust and you move on. And then you announce, you share the results, and then you start over again. And you continue to rinse and repeat until we get to a point where the community is stable, it's functioning, and it's strengthened through the efforts.
There's the word that's in our mission statement, to strengthen the African American Muslim community. Thank you.
Yes.
We're recording in the middle of December, and I know that through the effort, MANA has developed a strong relationship with the Mass convention that's actually coming up here in Chicago in a few weeks. Can you tell us about, how did this historic partnership between MANA and MassCon come about, and what makes it significant for 2024?
Sure. Akanke, would you want me to start?
Yes, please.
So for those of us who, have kind of been in America for a while and been part of these national organizations for a while. For instance, myself, in my bio, you mentioned that I was at the age of 12, I went to the first Muslim Youth of North America camp. It was 1985, if people want to date me. Going to the ISNA conventions, the Islamic Society of North America, going to the ICNA conventions, Islamic Circle of North America, going to the MAS conventions, the Muslim American Society, going to the conventions of Imam Warithuddin Muhammad. We're going to all these conventions, and generally each one of them has a majority. Like, maybe MAS is majority Arab, but there's a lot of African Americans that go. There's a lot of people from Pakistan or South Asian Muslims that go. And then maybe ICNA might be mostly South Asian, but there's a lot of Arabs that go. There's a lot of African Americans that go. Each one kind of has their own identity, right? And so within MAS, there was a brother, Bilal Shabazz, was on their board. He's an African American brother. Another brother that's very active with them, Brother Vincent, where they reached out to not just us, they reached out to the Mosque Cares Ministry of Imam Warithuddin Muhammad. They reached out to Imam Jahardi. People might know Imam Jahardi. And so they brought some African Americans together and said, MAS, really wants to work with the African American Muslim community to engage with the African American Muslim community, to get more African Americans to come to the conference, and also to just be a resource for the African American Muslim community. And from that conversation, we talked about like which organization would be the one to kind of coordinate a track that would focus on African American concerns and issues and African American speakers. And so we decided that MANA would take the lead on that. And the Mosque Cares Ministry of Imam Warthi Muhammad has been an excellent consultation for me with Brother Adil Muhammad and others. And so we've that's the origin story of it. And then it was a matter of trying to see, we had a long list of speakers of who we could get. A lot of speakers from the Imam Warthi Muhammad community were on the list. Some of them couldn't make it. We went to other names on the list. And we came down to the list that we have, which is we have people like Imam Amin Muhammad out of Atlantic City. We have Sheikh Mendez, who should be there, Angelica Ali, the village auntie, Nandi Shabazz, Ustad Ubaidullah Evans, Aisha Prime, all these scholars and experts in their field of Islamic knowledge and activism. So Imam Siraj will be the first Amir of MANA, will be attending at one of the sessions. So we encourage people to look at the flyers. By the way, those excellent flyers made by Akanke Rasheed. Amongst the many things that she does, she's an excellent graphic artist. And attend the sessions. They're going to be short. Just each session is 45 minutes, so you can't come late and you can't leave early. You gotta be there for the whole time. And we believe it'll be very impactful. And we hope that when people come, not only will they learn more about MANA, they will learn more about why MANA. I don't know if we'll get into this. Some people say, why are you focusing on African American issues? We're just a community. We're an ummah. We should be focusing on everybody, not just the African Americans. So that's a conversation that we can have as well. But we want people to know about MANA. We want people to appreciate the scholarship that we've brought into the room. We want them to be inspired to be part of the network, to be part of that nervous system that I talked about, so that we can feel each other, feel our needs, feel our concerns, and be able to respond appropriately when our community needs help, or when our community is ready to help. Because we're not just a community in need, we're a community that has a lot of answers and solutions for America. First of all, African Americans, and more specifically African American Muslims, have so many solutions for America that we just need to figure out how to get it to the people.
Bring it forth, absolutely. And I think, just again, for those of you, for listeners, this is going to be on Saturday, December 28th at McCormick Place Convention Center, 2301 Martin Luther King Drive. That's in Chicago. And we're gonna be there all day. It's gonna be starting at 10 a.m. right up until 5 p.m. So try to stop by. How do folks get tickets for the event? Do we have free tickets? Can we go online? Do we have a QR code? How do we get tickets to attend?
You and your listeners get a free ticket. I think we're going to tell it here, right, Akanke? We're going to give it to them?
Yes.
Yes. Brother Umar and your listeners, once you go to the Mass Convention website and you go under there to register for the conference, I think it's about $99. I think once you get to the bottom, it's $105. I think when I did it, in the coupon code, we want you to type in caps MANA, MANA 100. Don't spell it out. Just put 100 exclamation point. You got to put an exclamation on it, like you're yelling it. MANA 100 exclamation point, and that should erase that $100, and you get into the conference for free. And actually, the conference goes from the 26th to the 28th. But on the 28th, there's a full track from 10:30 in the morning. Actually, I'm sorry. We're going to start earlier. We talked with them, even though most of the sessions start at 10:30. Our first session is going to start at 10 because we're going to do a welcome and we're going to talk about MANA. So please come at 10 o'clock, and there'll be some breaks, but we go all the way to 4 o'clock, and then we'll end it with Imam Siraj for a powerful going away, and end in time for people to make the Salat al-Maghrib prayer. So thank you for helping us get that word out.
Absolutely. December 28th. It's a big conference, but specifically for the African American community, it's on 12/28 from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Food will be served. You'll have access to Salah. You'll have access to a lot of things. If you've been to the Mass Convention, it's always popping. So we want to make sure that we have strong representation from the African American community.
Yeah, and that code, we encourage people. Don't be, in the Quran it says if you fear poverty, that comes from shaitan, but Allah promises you bounty. So be bountiful with that code. If you know African Americans who are in Chicago, and even if you think they might want to come, give them the code. Make sure they don't pay that $100. We want them to just come, experience the conference, enjoy themselves, and thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Before we conclude, I'd like to just give the names of the workshops because I think that might intrigue people or pique their interest. There are 4 sessions, as was said. We get started in the morning with a welcome at 10 o'clock, and then the first workshop session with presenters starts at 10:30, and that session is called the African American Muslim Experience: Reflecting on Our Legacy and Confronting Our Challenges, and that's led by Sheikh Ubaidullah Evans, who is in Chicago, and Sheikha Aisha Prime. So the session will have participants reflect deeply on a range of things: our spiritual, political, socioeconomic challenges, and solutions for those things. And session two
And
is
Kanke, don't forget to tell them that Imam Tariq out of Chicago will be at that first session as well.
MashaAllah.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Imam Tariq Al Amin of Masjid Taqwa. So, yes, he will be opening us up for that session and inshallah moderating as well, inshallah. And for session two, Searching for Sakina, Finding Allah's Love and Tranquility Within African American Muslim Marriages. The presenters for that is Sheikh Muhammad Mendez, and Ustada Angelica Lindsay Ali, also known as the Village Auntie. And so that session focuses on centering our relationships around Allah and the prophetic model. And that's for anybody of any marital status. So it's for singles, married people, everyone. We're going to talk about marriage, what it takes to make it work, and look at the prophetic model, inshallah. And I'll be moderating that session, inshallah. Session three is Stepping Forward and Reaching Back: Young African American Adults Claiming Their Place. And that's led by Brother Tariq Toure, who is a well known poet and writer and activist, and Sister Nandi Shabazz, who is a young leader as well. And she's involved with Mass as well as her family, as her father, Brother Bilal Shabazz, is one of the ones who brought this whole idea to Manna and to Mass for us to have this track. So we're looking forward to them working together for that presentation, which examines the complexities that influence young adults in the African American Muslim community, exploring the balance between being mentored and being obstructed from growth. Like some masjids won't hand the baton over to young adults, and we need them to do that so that the masjid can continue its legacy, inshallah. And that is facilitated or moderated by Joshua. Alhamdulillah. And session four, which is the last workshop session, is called Divine Resilience: The Relentless Heart of African American Muslims. And that is presented by Imam Amin Muhammad and Ustada Nuruddin Knight. And that session is really, we're looking at this as a send off session where we want to inspire participants to really deepen their spiritual practices in order to forge a stronger connection with Allah to serve the community. Get out there with our deen on our hearts, with Allah in our heart, and go do the things, transform our community. And so we're really excited about that. And then after that session, which is moderated by Sister Ndidi Okakpu, who is a well known Chicagoan,
Yes.
and she's going to be moderating that session. And at the end of that session, we're going to close out with our beloved first Amir of Manna, Imam Siraj Wahab. So we're excited about the whole track. We're looking forward to a wonderful time coming together with everyone. And we hope people will show up and show out in love for the dean and love for the community. And we are grateful to Mass and ICNA for partnering with us on this and looking forward to more partnerships to come, inshallah.
Inshallah. I am so excited. I have goosebumps. I think this is a long time coming. Most of us are old school. We see young folks coming up. It gives you hope that, despite of the climate or the time that we find ourselves in, that we're moving forward. And for that to be coming out of the Muslim African American community, it's of great significance. We all know that as Muslims, many Muslims owe our roots to the African American community. So this is just a continuation of the great works of the likes of, Imam Warithin Muhammad and so many others who came before us and set the stage for us. So This is truly an amazing moment for us. And I think we can only celebrate the legacy of those that came before us through attending and showing up and participating and energizing and strengthening the community and each other. So I want to thank you both for being on this episode of Darja. But as always, I'd like to start with Sister Akanke. Pursuant to the name of the show, Daraja, what does Daraja mean to you?
Well, when you first told me about the name of the show and what it meant, I was just loving it so much because I am that person who loves self actualization. So that is what Daraja means to me, becoming our best. And we can only do that by embracing every phase and every stage of our life and learning from all of our experiences. I have this idea I call the journey of ascension. And it's that we come from God and we're going back to God. And in the middle, it's all about remembering God. And our self actualization is really a journey of ascension. And so Daraja to me is all about the journey of ascension through life, from God back to God in stages. Are we becoming our best? And are we embracing our joys and challenges, especially in ways that we learn from them and keep going? Because everything that happens to us, the experiences that we have, are meant for us to grow and become closer to Allah, to think more reflectively about all the things that we experience so that we can become the best that we can become for Allah, inshallah. That's what it means to me. I love it. I love, love, love it.
And Imam Joshua, what is your perspective on Daraja?
Oh, now we got to make a correction again. You said Imam Joshua. So just Joshua, brother Joshua, or my nickname is Bro Joe on campus. But I don't hold the title of Imam, so you can say Chaplain if you want to put something before it. But brother's best. Allah's the best of planners, because this is what my khutbah was about today. Everybody has a sunnah, and we follow the sunnah, the ways of the Prophet, and Allah also has a sunnah, the way that he does things. And there's a verse in the Quran of people asking, like, how come this Quran doesn't come down all at once? Why you got to keep asking your Lord for information? He gives you this piece, that piece, just why don't you get it all at once? And there's this response that it comes in slow, gradual pieces so that it can strengthen your heart. It's not to overwhelm you. The verses about prayer didn't come down immediately. The verses about fasting didn't come down immediately. The verses about not drinking alcohol and inheritance, these didn't come down immediately. It's a gradual process that Allah does to slowly strengthen your heart so that when these things come down, you're ready to absorb it. So this concept of daraja, or levels, or kind of moving in stages, is basically, I would say, the sunnah of Allah. There's a purpose to it. And we all know the hadith of Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, that if the first verses that came down were about alcohol, we would have rejected it. We wouldn't have accepted it. And so I hope from this that we can also be merciful with people that are new to the Quran and new to this path, that sometimes they need time. Sometimes they need, they can't just take it all at once. I've seen a lot of people leave the tradition because it was just too much. They didn't know which foot to step into the masjid with and which hand they were supposed to do this with and that. And it just seemed like they had seven more than the Jewish laws of 613. It felt like they had 778 laws that they had to follow all at once, and if they didn't do them, they felt like they were horrible Muslims. So just the concept of ease and knowing that Allah is not trying to burden us, and taking things in stages. That's what I get from that.
MashaAllah. Well, Jazakallah khair for both of you for being on this episode of Daraja. I am truly excited, and I'm sure the audience is also excited about the Mass Khan Mana collaboration that's going to be on December 28th at McCormick Place from 10 to 5. And we're really looking forward to attending and being part of it, strengthening and growing our community to a different level. So again, I want to thank you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah in everything that you do, and put barakah in the convention that's coming up, and really looking forward to spending time with my brothers and sisters in Islam at this beautiful convention. So with that, we're going to say peace out, and looking forward to another episode of Daraja. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.